Ekonene. So one of the stories gonna make waves hapa Kenya this weekend ilikuwa ni story na udem anaitwa Adele Onyango. So Adele kuna hii speech yake, like people just got a small clip of it, alafu it was being shared around and found it to be super interesting. So nikiangalia the clip itself, like now the main clip na chekini Adele Onyango NYC main stage Rise and Shine 2023. But I don't know why this just broke out now. But wacha tumsikize.
It's Christmas Eve in my home in Nairobi, Kenya, and something strange is happening. Mommy's in the kitchen cooking. I watch her open the oven and garnish the chicken with rosemary, in shock because all year round this is the only time she gets into the kitchen.
Garnish. Damn, tujuaga vitu zingine hicho. Nishatumiaga jina garnish kwa life yangu yote. Like that day, I was seated on the table and then I decided to garnish the chicken with chumbi. Chumbi was to give it some flavor.
It's part of our Christmas tradition that involves overeating and over-decorated Christmas trees. I still remember Mommy, my sisters, and I seated around the table full of food, cackling, opening gifts. This tradition felt good. It felt like home.
So, ni part moja na kuonyesha udem, of course, aligrow up ubabini. Sisi raya za kawaida, of course, hakukuwa na stories juu za opening gifts. Sisi zile raya tulikam kujua Boxing Day. It's not actually siku watu pigana. Mimi kwa najuaga Boxing Day ndio siku Tyson na Evander Holyfield wataenda kupigana. Kuja baadaye kuamua Boxing Day ni siku nafungua mabox, natoa zawadi kutoka kwa Santa. Unajua Santa ule rafiki wa Yesu. Unajua Yesu ule ni rafiki wa Mungu. Okay, sawa. Ni mwana wa Mungu.
After Mommy died, my sisters and I desperately tried to keep the tradition going. We would buy gifts, over-decorate the Christmas tree, and have tons of food, including chicken, rosemary chicken. But no matter how hard we tried, it never felt right without her.
Hiyo najuaga. Unaorganize vitu like you're so used to doing things with people that without them it doesn't feel right. It feels forced. It feels like nah, this is not it. Najua because this was us. This was all of us. So yeah.
I had to hold on to these traditions because I couldn't face the pain of Mommy's death. So I kept the traditions going, and 7 years later added another tradition. I got married.
So hii part sasa nilikuwa na ngoja sasa. Hii part anabonga juu ya marriage yake. Because the clip that was being shared was like, damn. Okay. Damn. Boy. Siku hizi mnatoboa siri mwote. Okay. Mimi nile raya nishaambiaga, nishapatiwa story ya auntie yangu fulani kushuta akishiriki ngono, lakini bado pia mimi nilisikia story kule. Hey, yani now you're giving out all that information. Okay.
I married a man from a completely different culture, and I remember on our third date laying down my deal breakers. Listen, all Christmases are going to be spent with my family, and if you don't like it, leave now. I was very outspoken. I had loud feminist takes, and I was a media personality well known for speaking out and speaking my mind. Nothing traditional about me.
Is you spending time with your family over Christmas a deal breaker? Not for me. Okay, wacha tusikie some of the more deal breakers, because I feel like that's not a deal breaker for me. And your Christmas, just some random day that people gave some level of importance, but it's just a day. Najua, just assume you're Muslim and ignore it. So that's not a deal breaker. So, tuendele.
We started our life, and come Christmas, I'd have the gifts ready by October, decorations up by November, but there was one flaw in my plan: our apartment. I hated it. I'd drive home from work and turn onto the pothole-riddled road, and I'd just regret living there. I'd park my car, climb up the staircase to our unit, and it had these dark, dirty grey walls, and I'd just get enraged. And whenever I'd walk into our apartment, it never felt like home.
I think if you hate your apartment and you're in a marriage, you should be able to tell your husband or your partner that I hate this place. I think if this is a conversation that the two of you cannot have, then there's a problem. I think, and the problem is deep. Kama mwezi ongea juu yake jamfurahi, you have money, you work, he has money, I'm assuming you can get a better apartment. So I don't know why this part was important, because, okay.
Our first Christmas was wonderful, our second one too, but by the third, it wasn't just our apartment that didn't feel like home, but also my marriage. It was becoming very clear that the wife my husband wanted was nothing like me. And I remember one night we were in bed after one of our many arguments, and he said, "You refuse to give me the 3 things that make a marriage. You don't want to give me a child, you wouldn't take my surname, and you've stopped wearing your ring."
Damn! Okay. You won't give me a kid, stopped wearing my ring, and okay, and you won't take my surname. Taking the surname, ushasikiaga tukiwa hapa kwa weekend update, ziko nini, we always joke about it, and because najua like if you marry into a super whatever powerful family, najua you don't have to make that person take your name. For me, I don't have a problem with that. No kid. Damn. I always look at akuna hii joke Chris Rock alimake back in the days, and the joke was men don't surrender, men don't settle, they surrender. And hiyo joke wagameka na mimi, cause I don't think it's in a man's nature to want to settle. Like, we lose a lot and we have to fight, lazima to fight our nature, cause nature yetu ilikuwa the nature that it's very easily like explained by evolution, where inakuwaga if you put 99 women in one room with a man, in 9 months time you'll have 99 kids. If you put 99 men with one woman, in 9 months you'll have only 1 kid. So with that in mind, men kunakuwaga na ile urge, evolutionarily urge ya kuconquer, in quotes, as many women as possible. If I'm giving up that freedom and sipati mtoi, si jinango ichukuliwi, ring haivaliwi, damn, okay, would never happen in my world, but hey, mnaishi hapa nje, in this new world, mnaitanga NWO, the new world order. Wacha tuendelee.
I remember feeling like, well, he's right. I'm definitely not that traditional woman. But I was so exhausted, and all I could whisper was, I can't do this anymore. I can't do us anymore. My marriage was over. And the divorce wasn't those amicable ones that you see in the movies. Mine was drenched in drama, with family calling and saying, well, if he didn't hit you, why are you leaving?
Okay, that's a low bar. That's a super low bar. Yeah. Being violent, it's like one of those things that show you are very insecure. Like, why are you getting violent na mtu juu mtu akutaki? Kama mtu akutaki, wacha ende tu, ajipe tu shughuli. Hakuna, there's nothing to fight about. You don't like me, and damn, okay.
And I remember another family member saying, you will never find another man more devoted to you than your husband.
Actually, partially believe that, because umse alikuwa in love. Like, umse alikuwa in love ajejo. Like, wow, no ring inatolewa. Damn. Apart from ring kutolewa, hakuna mtoi na hakuna jina. Hiye jina kwangu it's an issue. But hakuna mtoi na hakuna ring. Na ring, mimi ndio nilitoa hii ring. Damn, okay.
It was the hardest time. I wasn't sleeping. I'd stopped eating much, so I lost so much weight and I looked so frail. And because of my work that involves Small talk, smiles, performances, being in front of crowds, I was losing energy. And the little that I had needed to take me through my therapy sessions and meetings with lawyers. I had never lived alone. I went from living with mommy and my sisters to just my sisters after mommy died to my partner after we got married. And so this new chapter was exciting, but I was also quite anxious. So I began looking for an apartment, and my only requirement was I needed a garden.
Damn, okay. That's a high one. Kwa nafikiri the only requirement by hii time angesema maybe yako anataka wall chafu. Kumbuka ile wall yao ile ilikuwa chafu, ile ilikuwa ina piece off. That didn't make sense to me. It shows me that your marriage yao ilianza on very wrong footing. If I was to judge it from the outside, I'd say it's a marriage that the man wanted but she didn't want. De mwenye ako anaitaka. That's the reason why she could not even talk about dirty walls. Like, you can't talk about dirty walls. Like, that's mwezi ongejua hiyo. You have to stay there for 3 years and you're unhappy. Damn, like, and I feel like indio kitufanyaga a lot of marriages in a break. Zinanzaga like on a very I don't know how to put it. Is it superficial or a very fake? Kuna kugana a lot of fake stuff will happen, especially for women. Women kuna kugana hii nonsense ya kutaka kuonekana as the happy couple, so we have to do a wedding, make sure our friends are there. What are we going to do for the wedding? So you start at an loans and you start it with debt, so the probability of fighting inakuwa super high. A lot of men would do without weddings. Najua it's just one of those things that a lot of men do for women. So kuna kwa hiyo side. Alafu for dudes unapataga maybe umenoki dem. You can clearly see aja kunoki, maybe umenoki the lifestyle that you can give her and you insist she's the one. You're going to change her along the way. You won't change her along the way. So if it starts on that level, I think the probability of failure inakuwaga super high. It's just munai postpone tu. Because kama hii mimi nikisikiza hii story, I'm just seeing red flags like, okay, damn. Hamwezi hata ongea juu apartment kwa chafu. Ring inatolewa. Like, kwani unatoa ring? Inamaanisha tayari uko single. Ile siku umetoa ring ni kama umerudi back kwa uwanja. So what's happening here? But tuendelee.
And my best friend took me for all my visits. But nobody prepares you for just how hard it is to find a home. I remember the first unit we saw had ceilings so low, I felt like a giant in a hobbit's house. There was another unit that had one natural light source for the entire house. And there was another unit that our agent took me to, and it had numerous bedrooms, about 5. And when I reminded the agent that, hey, it's only going to be me living here, he said, well, no worries. When you have kids, you have space. And I kept wondering, why does everybody want me to be this traditional woman?
Damn, okay. Having kids is not being a traditional woman. I think Indio, nikiangaliaga wase kama states wakiteta juu ya the left, I think Indio kitu ili happen at the left. The left walikama wakaifanya mpaka if a woman wants a kid, then she automatically becomes a traditional woman. So, if I was to ask you, and I ask this respectfully, if you are to meet Adele leo, no meet Beyonce kesho, who do you think is more traditional? If you are to meet Adele today and you meet Beyonce, Rihanna tomorrow, who do you think is more traditional? You can just say, I don't want to have kids, but to use this traditional woman thing is to put like the modern woman does not want kids. And you know what? Nature would get rid of that modern woman so fast. Because scientifically, the only reason nature keeps us alive is to procreate and keep the species alive. Nature does not care about the ideals zetu. That's why nature inakuwaga very happy. Like, oh, sawa, hutaki watoi, sawa, lineage yako imeisha, enda. Huu mwingine amekuja, hautaki, ina keep wale watu wanataka watoi. Now, nature. So unapataga like, back in the days, ukisikiaga all the statistics inakuwaga, we used to live for around 30 years. And the reason why, tungekuwa, if from day one, scientifically, this is what now using how science works and nature works. if nature thought we could live for 60, 70, 80 years, I think a dollar ingekuwa inaanzia 25, 30. But the fact that nature did not expect us to live that long, ilikuwa inaanza as soon as itaanza umalizane. Alafu nature can notice that this species, it's so intelligent that if the only reason that they're going to have sex is to make kids, like the way other animals hufanya, then they're never going to have kids. So what am I going to do? I'm going to make this species one of the few species that can have sex for fun. And that's why nature tuka end up. So mupendaga like kuangalia vitu scientifically. So nikisikia, but back to you, when you talk about the traditional woman, you say it in my baby might not have been an intention yake, but anaisema in this, I'd say, condescending way. Unajua like mademu anataka watoi ni traditional, ani mafala. There's that thing that vile nashinda nikisema, maybe she said it unintentionally, but that's how it came out. Like madem traditional, mademu anataka watoi, madem. Alafu so siku hizi kuna kuagana hiyo pride ya mistaki watoi, but you know what, of course yeye nataka kende as many as possible, and then you end up, of course, probability, because it's an open system, venereal diseases and what becomes much more than for a dude. Closed system, so closed system probability za kushika disease na kuaga much lower. Konene, nimeinterrupt show kukuremind juu ya Lemfi. Sisahau Lemfi kupatiaga very competitive rates ikikam to exchange rates, lakini apart from that ukitumia promo code iko nini unabaki umepata $20 cashback on your first transaction. Na kitu moja na cheki jo, kuna hapa watu 55 wako US na Canada, washa verify accounts zao, lakini bado hawaja transact jo. So baki umetransact jo, your first $100 utapata $20 cashback. Na pia usisahau kama tayari usha transact, umekuwa ukitransact through Lemfi, for every $50 umekuwa ukispend, umekuwa ukijishindia reward points. Na hizi reward points pia kuna vile tunaweza end up tukiziboost. Tunaziboost aje? Sasa nataka ubaki umeregister for the newsletter ya Lemfi. Newsletter ya Lemfi hata kutumia vitu za kipumbavu itakuwa tu kukutumia very good offers. For example, very soon wasome register for the Lemfi newsletter, watakuwa wakipata reward points zile wanabaki wametumia kwa their airline tickets. So when ni samabani una plan kukuja Kenya, how need hizo points najua for your airline tickets. Make that airline trip very cheap, ama much cheaper. Baki umechangamka. So vile nimesema, changamka, ingia Lemfi. Kama hujai register for Lemfi, usisahau promo code ni ekonene on your first transaction, ubaki umepata $20 cashback. Kama sivyo, register for newsletter. Every time we spend $50 una get some reward points. So unangoja nini jo? Lemfi, international payment for everyone. Ekonene. Wacha turudi kwa show. And yeah, but tuendelee. As I keep saying, I'll never judge someone for anything, but I don't think that just because a woman wants to have kids, it makes them traditional. And where this traditional is coming out in a very condescending way.
Traditional woman, even the stranger. The last unit that we viewed in Nairobi was an apartment that had this strange staircase where each stair was a different size. And as we hobbled back down this strange staircase to the car, I said, maybe I'm not meant to live in Nairobi.
So one thing to agree na udem ni Nairobi has some ugly places. Damn. Nairobi has some ugly places. Hata unatafuta hao ndio mtu unotice. Unaenda kama places jo, unashinda what the fuck was the architect thinking? And that's the reason why kwa wengi ukisikiza iko nini utasikiaga na kuaga very anti-buying a house, but you'll never hear me being anti-building, because I always feel like if I'm buying, it's going to be overpriced and most probably itakuwa haijatengenezwa vile nataka. Finishes utapata ziko hivi, what utapata iko hivi, so afadhali ni jijenge kitu yangu than nibaki nimebuy. But kama nimerent na iko kuja na hizo deficiencies zote, I can understand, of course, uneven staircases than opposite. But na understand jo, Nairobi some ugly ass houses, man, let's be honest.
And I immediately thought of a place I'd go to whenever I'd get so stressed in my marriage. It's a little town out of Nairobi called Limuru. It's known for its tea farms and its flower farms as well. So all its hills are full of thick green carpets of tea and these little greenhouses full of flowers. And I'd always drive there and get calm and dream about living there. So in this moment, I thought, I want to live in Limuru. So one Thursday morning, I had two options. Either see another apartment in the same neighborhood with a strange staircase, or take the nature-riddled drive out to Limuru. I chose the latter. And so I got into my car, and my fear was increasing as I kept looking down at my GPS and seeing just how far this place is. And then I got to a point where I went up a hill, and in front of me were these acres of green tea. And in my rearview mirror, I could see the skyline of Nairobi behind me. And in that moment, I danced between, this is so beautiful, to, this is a terrible idea, to, I can't wait to take walks in the tea farms, to, this place is really far.
So I always admire people who can just move away from the city and people who can live far, because I'm not that. Mina kuwaga mtu, damn, I just love living close to the city. That's why like I spent a lot of my adult life in Ngara, just next to CBD. So yeah, I admire this, like, cause if there's something I'd love personally pia niyo, just have that garden hapo nyuma, have that, unajua lot lawn, place nezaenda tu nibaki tu nimechill hivi. That's why majuzi vile Kolioch interview tulifanya na Kalonzo, afterwards tukibonga juu yake with Ian, I was talking about vile tukitoka hapo Karen, I was looking at all those places. I'm like, damn, some people get to live that one life on earth in such places. You have to be like, people are lucky. People are lucky out here. What I don't get is, bado natry kuangalia Udem alisema when she met her dude, the first deal breaker ilikuwa Christmas. I was expecting other deal breakers where she told the guy, I'm not going to take your name, and told him, I'm not going to have your kid. Because if she told him that, and I'm not going to wear a ring, angekuwa amemwambia hizo vitu, and then the guy started acting funny, I'd support her. But right now I'm still zile za, apart from you not wanting to be a modern, a traditional woman, you are, I feel like she was not cool. Like, I don't know kama ni mean, she was mean to the guy. Cause nangoja kabisa, like unashindwa kwa nini bado tunasikiza all these other stories za Limuru. Because I'm waiting for the part where she tells us that, you know what, I told this guy everything. I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do this. Because this also would be a good lesson for you if you are someone young wanna get married, whether you are a man or a woman. If someone gives you some deal breakers kwake, don't expect them to change. Najua umemeet raya kama Afrika akakwambia mi Sunday zangu siendagi church. Yes, I don't pray kabla tukule, blah 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 blah. Alafu you expect to change me somehow. I'm not going to change, you're just going to be disappointed and it's going to end up. So that's the part ile niko nangoja nione, like, did this guy like, was he told these things and then he expected her to change along the way? Because kuna watu taka mtu a change, and changing, very few people change.
And then I went up another hill to the house, and it was love at first sight. We walked into the front room, it had a front room, through this charming half wooden door that is terrible for security, but just so beautiful for aesthetics. And then we walked into the living room that had these beautiful wooden floors and this big fireplace, just like my childhood home. And we walked into the kitchen. Now, as someone who doesn't cook, I immediately thought of changing my ways because it was so spacious. And then we went to my favorite part of the house, the main bedroom, my bedroom.
Okay, damn. So dem hakuwa anapikia hii raya, hakuwa anaipatia watoi, hakuwa anaipatia. Alafu niko sure kuna mtu kwa comments itakuwa, oh, si lazima upikiwe, oh, she was whatever woman. But for men, I think one of the reasons who hate isima masculinity channels is they teach a man how to be a man, and I always feel like it's innate in you, and the innate nature of man is kupenda freedom yako. And marriage waga, like, you have to give me a reason of why am I giving up all this freedom. I could be out here having all this fun and having all this freedom without having to come back to mtu lazima ni play by rules zake. So ila haikuwa inapikiwa, hata kudinywa I don't think iko inadinywa enough times. Alafu jina imetolewa, ring imetolewa, inaonyesha mse alikuwa na like that's a certain level of low self esteem that I don't know about, man. Like damn, my self esteem inakuwaga huko kwa roof. Shit, kuna so hapo nimeshtuka jo, but wacha tusikie jo hii place ile. The main area ni bedroom where, damn, is there any action happening in this bedroom?
And then we went to my favorite part of the house, the main bedroom, my bedroom. It had the same wooden floors and old white windows positioned just right so that the sunrise would meet you at the foot of your bed. And its bathroom was bigger than the bedroom I had in my apartment in Nairobi. And the compound, the house is sandwiched between 2 tea farms. It's got yards of garden space. It's got a flower garden. It's got a kitchen garden. And at the back, this huge avocado tree.
Okay, plus avocado imenibamba. So, somehow na lose patience yangu kwa history. Wacha niruke maybe kidogo and try kuona history ya marriage iliendaje. Because hainimeki sense. I feel like mse nezataka kumuunderstand. Mse alikuwa na super low self-esteem.
Up. Then December came and I felt like closing my eyes and just opening them up and finding myself on 31st. And on Christmas week, I was driving back home. I parked my car and I got to my charming wooden door and something hit the top of my head. And I looked up and it was a Christmas wreath. And I thought...
Okay. So, history metry ku understand kule inaenda. Sija get up. But imekuwa a very interesting thing. I'm happy for her that alichagua happiness yake. What I do have wanted her to do ni ya tuambia hizi deal breaker kaliambia go mse before. Because kakuambia mse something like I do not want kids. Hiyo lazima useme tu on day one. Hiyo si kitu ya kungoja sijui siku ya pili. Hiyo. Lakini kuambia mtu like Christmas nitaspend na familia yangu. That's such a small issue. The big issues ni kids. Kuna watoi kwa hii story. Apart from watoi, ring si lazima. Kama uvai pia mi sivai. So that's okay. Jina pia si lazima. Lakini kama mtu ana-expect watoi na wewe u-expect watoi, lazima umwambie from day one. Alafu pia tuache nini, tuna borrow so much from the West. And kitu yangu ile waga squeezy inani surprise sana ni kama Kenya. And I guess around the world is the fact that Hollywood waga very influential. We borrow so much but from liberals. And as we borrow from them, we end up looking down upon a lot of stuff. So inakuwaga like dem kuzaa ni mjinga, yani traditional, dem ni fala, unataka yani sama dem wanashemiwa for kupata mtoi. Unapataka kuna dem tu just wants to have a kid. But the minute dem anataka ku have a kid, all of a sudden she's a traditional woman. Alafu kuna wale watachukua hiyo vibaya, kwa like why am I being called a traditional woman? Because I've never had something like a traditional male. Najua, it's just a male, I'm just a man. There are men who want kids and there are men who don't want kids. But you have to explain to your partner before you get married that, you know what? Hapa kuna watoi, hapa ngono ni raha. 24/7 365. Katembe, kaende, kifo cha mende. And so nilifeel kama hii nini kiona ukigo through the comments on madema but when I look at it I see why nikiangalia place car states where this is in your culture. Yeah, my men kuambiwa like feel bad for wanting to have a legacy and kuacha mtoi nyuma, like unafaa ku feel bad because that makes you a traditional man who does not want. Afu napata situations maka dem anaambia msee ni aje najua tunapendana but sitaki mtoi. Alafu boy anasema ka utaki mtoi it's a deal breaker for me. Then akwa you're so traditional, you think all women are supposed to do is give birth. No, I didn't say that. I just said that nataka mtoi. Haimanishi nafikiria wewe ni traditional. So yeah, kumekuwa na history ya traditional this, traditional that. But I'd want to know this guy like how much in love he was, ama how much low self-esteem he had, that he didn't know these things from day one, that hataki mtoi. That's number one. Number two, kinataka kujua like how fake ama how fragile was this relationship that they could not even talk about not the dirty windows and the dirty walls. Damn, I guess I don't know, but since sielewi hizi vitu nauliza hizi maswali, it just means that I'm a traditional man. Ekonene.